And we have legal also?
Yes, we probably do.
Okay. We've got a very full agenda tonight, and I was wondering whether the board was willing to table the minutes. We can add those to the January. So I'd like a motion to table the minutes on the agenda.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Next item on the agenda, I will open up a public hearing. It's the Wolfeboro Chamber of Commerce to hold the fireworks over Wolfeboro Bay on December 31st, 2018 at 6:30 p.m. at Brewster Academy Drive. Is there somebody here to talk to that?
Hi, Mary DeVries, and I'm here on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce, and we look forward to, again, being able to present the fireworks over Wolfeboro Bay as part of the celebration for the community of New Year's Eve. And we feel that this really complements what the town's Special Events Committee has lined up for December 31st, including a lot of fun activities here in the Great Hall. This year, I want to point out that we were able to fund the fireworks in great part with thanks to some generous businesses who supported that.
Okay. Would anybody in the public like to speak to this event? This permit? Okay. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Board members, any comments? I will hold up the last night flyer. We're going to have in the Great Hall a scavenger hunt from 10 to 12:30. Bo, the balloon man, from 10 to 2. Just Bob and Marla are going to be across the way from 12:30 to 1:30. Back here at the town hall, we'll have the magic with Tricky Dick. Then over at Brewster Academy for teens, there's going to be games. Over at the Congregational Church, there's going to be drop-in bingo from 3:15 to 4. Back here to Wildlife Encounters from 4 to 5. Teen Glow Dance over at Brewster Academy from 7 to 9. Contra Dancing here 7 to 9. And the Chamber is going to put on the fireworks display for us. There is a lasagna dinner up at All Saints Church, and that starts at 5 and goes till 7, and there'll be an accordion player, so we will entertain you all day and all night. And thank you, Mary, for getting the fireworks for us.
Want a motion?
Yes, I do want a motion.
Okay, I move that we grant the fireworks permission in the Chamber of Commerce.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? You have your permit.
Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to open up the next public hearing, and that is for, let me read it off the flyer here. Okay, this is Wolfeboro Board of Selectmen will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, December 19th, 2018 at 6:35 p.m. at the Wolfeboro Town Hall Great Hall, 84 South Main Street, Wolfeboro, New Hampshire, to discuss the application of the Lakes Region Newcomers Club for a permit consumption of beer and wine at Banco Night on January 11th, 2019 from 6 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. at the Great Hall pursuant to Town Code Chapter 5, Alcoholic Beverages. It was posted on December 12th at the Public Library and the Town Hall. Was there anybody here to speak to that? Come on up to the microphone. State your name.
I'm Cynthia Theodore. I'm the president of the Lakes Region Newcomers Club. And we are asking for permission to hold our annual Bunko night here on January 11th and allow our members to BYOB, beer and wine only.
Thank you. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak to this event? Seeing and hearing none, I'd like to close the public hearing. Board members, any comments or questions? Hearing none, can I have a motion to grant the permit?
So move.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the bulk vote. We have 4 manifests that we're signing. We have property tax abatements, and those are from the Board of Tax and Land Appeal Settlements. We have a bunch of veteran credits and solar credits. We have some intent to cut, and we also have accepting of gifts under $10,000. This was for last night. Avery Insurance, $250. Black's Paper Store, $500. Can I have a motion to accept the bulk vote?
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, next item on the agenda is the monthly budget expenditure and revenue report.
Good evening. So I hope that you all had an opportunity to review my report for the financials through the month of November. By the end of November, I would expect that we would be running somewhere around 92% or less through the budget, and actually we were looking pretty good. The general fund was running at 88.8%, water fund about 88.97%, electric fund 85.9%, sewer fund 94.06%, and Pop Whalen at 88.74%. So overall, we were at about actually just around 88%. I did, as normal, attach a few notes for budgets for certain departments and running a little high. But other than that, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them for you.
No, and I would say I looked at last year and it was at 87.267, so we're right around in the same area. So that looks, I was pleased to see that. Anybody else have any comments on the budget? Paul?
No comments on your report. Thank you for doing, but thanks for getting us through the budget committee process.
Thank you. It was a team effort.
We appreciate that. That was fun.
Very nice report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda is a commercial vehicle landing permit, Winnipesaukee Bell. Do I have somebody here? Board members, this is a pretty custom, we see it every year. It's from the Wolfeboro Inn. We have a copy of the first check, of a check. Paul, you were noting something about insurance?
Yeah, I guess we do require a certificate of liability. We have the current one that expired this year, so I'd be keen to move to approve this, subject to them providing us with an updated certificate of liability insurance.
Does anybody else have any comments or concerns?
Nope.
All right. Can I have a motion to grant contingent upon updated insurance?
I'll move to approve the commercial vessel landing permit for Winnipesaukee Bell and their sign, plus a new insurance certificate.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right. The extension of the contract for Granite Hill Municipal Service. This is for our assessing. It's a contract. And Becky, you have?
Yes, I will verify the correct 2019 rates at the request of the board. But aside from that, it's been reviewed by DRA without comment.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions and concerns? I'm comfortable with it. I just would like, once you get those amounts, an updated copy. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The next item on the agenda is the Wolfeboro Public Library Foundation to present the first payment to the town of money for the project.
We're glad to see you.
Money, money, money. You're always glad to see us with
Yes.
money. John Sandine, president of the Wolfeboro Public Library Foundation. On behalf of the board of directors of the Library Foundation and on behalf of many, many hundred citizens and businesses in town who supported this project, it clearly is a wonderful project, and the citizens were very pleased to support this. So we are pleased to present the Wolfeboro Public Library Foundation's check for $750,000 to the town of Wolfeboro to offset the costs of the renovation and expansion of the town's library, as referenced in Warrant Article 9, approved by the voters on March 13th, 2018. And we have this letter for you with copies for Becky and for Deb.
Okay, thank you. Alyssa, would you like us to get up and get a picture? I think we would like this in the... Okay, sounds good. grabbing money.
I'll spend.
All right, thank you very much.
Come back next week.
Thanks, John.
Board members, I need a motion to accept the check from the Wolfeboro Public Library.
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, it's official. Use of Kate Park by Laura Davidson for a wedding. And we had a letter, and I think the town manager emailed us that they are unable to make it today. And they changed the time till 3:30.
That's correct.
Board members, are you comfortable moving forward with this?
Yes.
Okay.
And we've
I am.
had one of these, or a couple of these before, same conditions. The person understands that it's a public place. And
I think when we write them and say that they can do it, that is the only thing I think needs to be stated in the letter for
move to
sure.
approve the use of Kate Park for Laura Davidson for her wedding ceremony on July 13th, 2019. What time is it going to be?
3:30.
3:30 in the afternoon.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, aye. Opposed? Okay. Next item on the agenda is the use of snowmobile access in Wolfeboro, including building a snowmobile trail and access to Kate Park. Do I have somebody here who'd like to talk to that, or more than one person?
Hello, Mary DeVries, and I'm here on behalf of the Wolfeboro Area Chamber of Commerce. We asked to meet with the Board of Selectmen tonight. Thank you very much for your time. And I would like to, if I could, make a couple of remarks with our request, and then we have members of the Wolfeboro Snowmobile Club here who are the experts in I can do sign language. We're actually the ones involved with the building of the snowmobile trail trial that went on last year. So I'll turn things over to them in just a moment, if that's okay. Yeah. And I did bring copies of the map that was used by the board last year. Do you need copies?
We have this one on the back. Is it the same?
It's the same. This just printed a little smaller.
Okay.
But
all right.
Yeah.
Nope, they did print one on the back this year.
Okay. So we After many years of the Board of Selectmen saying yes to go ahead and have a trial period of building the snowmobile trail that would connect the existing trail that ends at this end of Bridge Falls Path to Cape Park, we finally had the right conditions last year to do that test and try it out. And it was about 10 days, 2 full weekends, so a short window of opportunity, but boy, we made good use of it. There were snowmobilers using the trail. Anecdotally, I spent quite a bit of that 10-day period on both ends of the trail and talking with the people who were using the trail and coming in and out of Cape Park itself and asking how they knew about it. And they were just following trails, and that makes sense because that's what people who are on snowmobiles do. When they see the snowmobile trail continues, they'll continue. And that's very valuable for our local economy. We know, as noted in a New Hampshire, University of New Hampshire studies report, the economic impact to the state of New Hampshire is more than $2 billion, and we want to bring some of that money here for our local economy. And we feel that this can help, especially in the winter months when it's very challenging for those businesses who invest in staying open year-round. So I can speak from the Chamber's perspective on some feedback that we did receive. I talked about the snowmobilers themselves briefly, and then people just living and working in the area they liked it. They made do with if there was an unexpected inconvenience, because this is all new to us all, and they were able to manage their day-to-day living with that. I actually had someone who I didn't know leave a voicemail, and she said her and her husband were in their vehicle, their car, and drove into town to do their business and came upon it as a surprise, and her message said, "What fun." So I just wanted to share that as well. And we did hear from a resident in the exact specific area of the path, and there were some concerns, and including the lack of access from their front doorway to the road. So if I could describe that a little bit, because there are other places on where the trail was created where that would occurred as well. So what that means is you would have access out your door safely onto the sidewalk, but then would have to cross the snowmobile trail to get to the road, or walk to one end or the other of the sidewalk. So certainly access to the sidewalk is maintained. The condition of the snow, and again, I think I don't want to speak for the people who did the actual physical work of building it and removing it, but it was all new to us. And so we kind of took it down when the snow was melting, and just thought we had our trial, because that's what it was. That's what you offered us last year. Snow throughout Wolfeboro, once we have it, it looks beautiful. It's going to get dirty, and we all like our yards at our homes too, to have that fresh fall of snow to cover up the dirty snow. I don't have any remedies for that. I think that's going to happen throughout the community, and we just want to please have another chance at another trial period, and maybe this time the conditions will be right so that we can have it for a longer amount of usage as far as days. I unintentionally left out that we also have members of our Chamber of Commerce Economic Development Committee here, and so they will be available to speak to this from an economic development standpoint, as well. But if I could introduce Tom from the Snowmobile Club, or should I just stay?
No, absolutely.
Okay.
Is this going to go through our property again?
We would like very much part of the request.
No, I have no problem with it. I didn't know if you're going to use the new ramp or not. Then I'd like the proposal to include, normally we have open water there to prevent the dock damage. So as soon as the snowmobile is removed, I'd like the town to put water back on our dock as part of the program. Is that okay with you? They did that last year.
Yes.
Then you can block it. Then we'll freeze the whole thing in front of our property.
Absolutely, and we appreciate that. And it really is a team effort because
No problem.
your property, the town's property itself, and we have some terrific people in the community willing to volunteer to watch out for the conditions and have been doing this. As you know, prior to this trial of building the snowmobile trail last year, for many years you have allowed access in and out of Cape Park. So we feel confident that we can continue that usage in a successful way, if allowed. Tom? Tom Williand is here representing the Wolfeboro Snowmobile Club.
I guess it would be, do you have any questions? I mean, last year for us, it worked well. It was short, but the last few years would have tough weather, so.
And I'm assuming you're going to do the same thing. You provided signs,
Yes.
helped with the grooming, because people need to know, I think, your role too, that you gave us a lot of help in making sure that we had right signage and stuff for that trail.
Well, safe is number one for us, so the signing's important. When to tell people where to be, stop at all the crossings and stuff like that. So that's a big thing at what we do.
Yes, well, we appreciate that. Any members of the board have any questions for Tom? Brad?
Specifically for Tom, but more of a general type comment, I guess, on the section of this that goes down Central Ave along by the post office. Obviously, last year we put it in the side where the parallel parking spaces were, and I've always had a little bit of a concern there for the people who like to park there to go to the post office. And we kept the diagonal spaces open last year, but with the width of that trail there, obviously everybody over there had to park in a parallel type of setting anyway, let the traffic through. So I guess my comment would be to think about possibly moving it to the other side of the road to keep the actual striped parallel parking spaces there, so the people who do pull up there will be opening their doors onto the sidewalk to go to the post office and stuff. You're not going to lose any parking spaces because no matter which side of the road you put it on, you're going to be parallel parking either way there. So just a comment I had.
Well, we're willing to work with whatever the town, I mean, somebody had what we have engineered. We were not involved. Whichever side of the road on would not affect what we do. I mean, it was an incredible trail last year. If they could do 60 more miles of that, we'd be in good shape. But if you moved it to the other side because it was more convenient, it would be the same for us.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking. It'd be the same.
It makes a certain amount of more sense.
This is what Brad's talking about. I brought a picture that last year. There's the trail, and they're parking over on this side is the parallel parking. I think the reason they did that it's continuous, I think is why they had looked at doing it in that manner. But I did bring some pictures if people want to look at it. Any other questions for Tom, the Snowmobile Club? I think we've got somebody from the, yep.
Newbie questions, because I wasn't part of this last year. Are there designated times a day when it's open, not open? Or is it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week?
It's actually, it could be up to the town. Our trails have no time limit. We have had places where they run right close to homeowners' homes, and they have requested to put signage up, but the average trail has no limit.
Any other question for Tom? Thank you, and thanks for all that the Snowmobile Club does.
Thank you.
Steve Durgan from Wolfeboro, and I chaired the committee that worked for a good length of time to get this through, and I might say that Tom and his club have been exceedingly easy to work with, but he didn't have anything to do with the infrastructure things such as the parking. We wrestled with that for quite a while. And I agree with you, Brad. It would have been awesome if we could have done that. But as I think you can see from that picture, we lose 3 times as many parking spaces if we go on that side. I mean, if we can figure a way to do it. The other consideration was that there's the crosswalk right there that's very busy. So all in all, it's not a perfect situation, but I really appreciate the board's support in past years. And if we can get the climatologists and Jack Frost to agree with us this year, I think it's going to be a great boom for the town of Wolfeboro.
Right. And Stephen, I'm assuming that we're going to do the same thing we did last year. We're going to come in and we're going to go into the park and then out onto the dock and not use the ramp. We're going to use that same part of the
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, and that, you know, originally that was not the plan, but we were able to make the change on the fly because of concerns that people had. And I think, you know, last year for the period that we used it, it was very well received and very well done, and with really very little disruption. So hopefully that will continue.
Selectmen, any of you have any comments from Steve Durgan? Okay, hearing none, can I have a motion?
Chairman?
Yep.
May I address the...
Oh, sure, yep.
John Sims. I live in Depot Square, which was the front door that Mary DeVries was referring to earlier. I wrote a summary of our observations and gave it to Dave Ford in the summer. And I have copies of it, which I'd like to distribute if that's okay with you. It summarizes our thoughts on the subject.
That's where I got the photos that I showed.
Thank you.
You can share.
You can take this one.
I'll give you this one. Do you want this for the record?
Still share.
I'm neither for nor against this project. I think that finding another year of experience would be good. But the observations we made were that the town lost 25 regular parking places and 4 handicapped spots from the use by installing this trail. The trail took all of a night to build. It was a fantastic job watching it being built because we had to watch it because we couldn't sleep. But other than that, my question is, who paid for the equipment that built the trail? Do you know?
I think it was the town who put the snow there, so I think it was the town equipment. And if I'm wrong, let me know. That was right, the town did, yes.
All right. When it was first built, it looked very clean, very white, but it became fairly dirty fairly quickly. And one of the reasons is that the snowmobiles chew it up as they go across. We were concerned that we would be suffering from the two-stroke smell of the snowmobiles, but we didn't. But what we did suffer from was the noise of them, because they're always revving their engines when they're climbing up onto the trail. And when they're moving slowly, they do it by slipping the clutch and revving their engine. So it was quite a noisy experience. So we got to count the snowmobiles going by. And there were about 40 of them on the fishing derby weekend, which was the heaviest use. And then it tailed off. There was essentially no use during the week. And there was light use the following weekend, which was the only other weekend. About 4 or 5 snowmobiles went by. One of the problems with the trail is that when debris comes down when the winds are blowing, it lands on this trail and it lands on the adjacent street. The snow machines clear up the street, but they don't clear the snowmobile, so it accumulates any debris that comes down off trees. So we saw branches and so forth in the trail. And towards the end of the 10-week period, I was watching snowmobilers avoiding the trail and in fact driving down the street because it was getting very messy to get onto the trail. The ramp up was becoming more like a cliff, and they just decided, some of them, that it would be easier to go on the street. So it's an experiment. I think the The result is in some doubt at the moment, but we'll see what happens this year if you approve it. Thank you. Yes.
Would like a 10-mile-an-hour speed limit up the sound?
I don't think they exceed that. Anyway, I'd defer to the snowmobiles on that. I don't think it would have any effect. I think.
I mean, you said they gunned their motors. Are they speeding up through town? Are they?
No. I think. I would defer to the snowmobilers, but they're revving their motors, but slipping the clutch as they go along fairly slowly. Okay. I don't have a snowmobile, so I don't know the details of it, but they do rev their motors.
Any other questions for Mr. Sims? Dave?
Well, not of Mr. Sims, but
What?
it says in all of these diagrams that the snow track will be 8 feet wide. All of these pictures look like they certainly exceed 8 feet in width.
Well, then we need to talk to our Public Works Director.
That's what I'm saying, but I mean, I can guarantee you that that's more like 12 feet.
Yeah, well, if it's only supposed to be 8, we can...
Supposed to be 8, that might help. I don't have an issue with it on it again this year.
Sometimes we saw snowmobilers draw parallel to each other, and they've filled the whole width.
But the request is...
Maybe some restrictions of that sort.
Yeah, the request is for 8 feet, John.
Yeah.
And
okay.
these certainly look like, to me, from my perspective anyway, they're more like 10 to 12 feet wide.
Right.
So I think that if we direct our Public Works people to make sure that they make them 8 feet, it might help.
Yeah.
But,
okay. Thank you.
but it's certainly these pictures that you provided, these trails are wider than 8 feet.
Right.
Does any other board member have any comments for Mr. Sims? Seeing none. Mr. Hodder? Pardon me?
Are you entertaining public input on this issue?
I am.
Thank you, ma'am. Michael Hodder, Wolfeboro. Just one comment. This proposal was originally presented to the town as intending to have a good economic benefit to downtown by bringing snowmobilers into downtown. The Snowmobile Club and the Chamber of Commerce are asking for an extension for a second trial period now. We've heard no quantifiable evidence as to the economic benefit to downtown by having the snowmobilers coming into town, being able to take advantage of this ramp. If this board decides to extend a second year's trial period, I'd ask that at the end of the second year, before you do any further consideration about a third trial period or an indefinite extension, that you request from the Chamber and the Snowmobile Club some quantifiable data as to the economic benefit to the town by having this, which I found to be an inconvenience last year, in the downtown area. If they can quantify and show there's a boon, then perhaps the board should go ahead and further. But if there's no hard numbers, additional traffic into Black's or into the cafe for hot coffee in the morning, then I think maybe this is more of a convenience to the Snowmobile Club than it is a benefit to the town. Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Sure. Go ahead.
Mike, you've obviously thought about this. So what kind of hard evidence would you like to see?
It's not up to me. It's up to them. They have to sell the project to you. But I would assume something like ask the cafe, have they found an uptick in the number of people coming in for hot chocolate? Are more people stopping in Black's for a bag of candy or a newspaper or whatever else one wants to do? Is there more gasoline being sold in the local stations on the days in which we have a large number of snowmobilers coming in using the trail, some winter event or something like that? However one would quantify it, but it's been sold to the town as being a potential economic benefit. That's why we were supposed to pay through our DPW to have the ramp built and maintained during the time period for the trial period. That's why the people of the town were asked to put up with the inconvenience of losing parking places and having to walk around and through and across the slushy pile. We shouldn't do that for no reason unless we're just very big-hearted about things. If we're looking for an economic benefit, it's up to you guys to find the economic benefit to justify an extension.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Anybody have any questions? Mary, did I see you wanted to speak again? Okay. No, I just saw you go like this, so I was thinking you wanted to speak. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak on this? All right, board members, we would need a motion.
I'll move to approve the use of Cape Park for snowmobiles. The town to build a snowmobile trail to Cape Park no wider than 8 feet in width.
And this is a second-year trial?
Yes.
And to restore my property when they're done.
Yep.
Yeah, add that. Okay. Do I have a second to that? Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Well, all we have to do is wait for the snow now. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All righty. Ambulance contract. We have our fire chief here.
Good evening, James Pinio, Fire Chief, Town of Wolfeboro. You should have in front of you renewal for the contract with Stewart's Ambulance Service. Myself, in conjunction with the staff, meeting with the town manager and working with Stewart's, we cleaned up some language which really straightens out some operational issues that have been ongoing. I believe this will help to clarify some of those minor issues operationally. I would be happy to answer any questions which you may have.
I thought it seemed pretty good. The only thing that I think we probably should point out, there are a couple that they are going to have 2 ambulances town. They're going to be in the heated, and if they have to use it for something else, they'll get another ambulance back in town. That if there is a scene, that the fire chief or his designate will be the person in charge. We had in the past had some issues with who was going to be in charge. And the other one is that they will take Medicaid and Medicare, but anything over what they pay, that the person being transported will be responsible for. And I think that's important that the public understands that. And the full contract is for $253,729 for the year, paid monthly. Is there anything else you think we should point out to the public?
I would just like to touch on the topic regarding the 2 ambulances.
Okay.
Right now, the way it will operate is they will have 2 ambulances housed here in Wolfeboro. One of those ambulances may be shifted for a transfer out of Huggins Hospital to a more appropriate facility. When that occurs, they have to shift an ambulance here. So there is a lag time which is going to take place because they need to get that critically ill patient out of Huggins and moving to the most appropriate facility. So if there's a call going on, there could be some lag time. That's one of those things that we have to be able to live with because we can't afford to have enough ambulances around. One day last week we had 4 ambulance calls all at once. So it's about resource management. So this gives us the ability to manage those resources a little bit better. It will also give us the ability, Central Dispatch will have a monitor in their facility, which they'll be able to visualize where the ambulances are located. So if an ambulance is coming this direction from Wolfeboro, they'll be able to see where that ambulance is at and get an idea of what the time frame may be for them to get here. Also, with regards to the fire chief being in charge, that is correct. However, or my designee. However, the one thing that I would like to state to that is in charge of the incident. Okay, not necessarily patient care, because patient care is going to fall on the highest licensed provider, which could be a paramedic, it could be an advanced provider, advanced EMT. The contract only requires advanced EMTs. There's a significant difference between an advanced EMT and a paramedic. Tremendous amount of difference. But other than that, I believe all parties at this point are in agreement and look forward to working together.
Yeah, it really was who was in charge at the scene opposed to what, who was going to take care of the patient.
Correct.
And this makes it pretty clear. I was glad to see that. Anybody else have any other comments?
Chief, thanks for working hard on it.
Not a problem. We appreciate it.
Okay, I need a motion. Don't we need a motion to accept the ambulance contract?
So moved.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
You're welcome.
All right, we don't have anything in our packet, but you were busy this afternoon, I think, with opening some bids.
Yeah, so as you may recall, we decommissioned the municipal fire alarm system this year. We finally got to the point where we had the bid proposal ready. We got it out. We had the bid opening today. We received 3 bids, and I can sit here and tell you the apparent low bidder is White Mountain Fiber Optic Cable Construction, LLC, out of Epsom, New Hampshire.
Remember my earlier proposal that we preserve some of the old fireboxes for the Historical Society? I'd like to buy one at any competitive cost, and maybe some others would also. Was that part of their contract?
No. So this particular contract only involves the removal of wiring, conduit, and any associated equipment in those lines.
They're gonna bring the fireboxes to you then?
We have already removed the fireboxes. The fireboxes have been inventoried. They have been graded, and they're being put into an Excel spreadsheet.
Oh, good. Well,
in process now. Myself and the town manager have had some very, very preliminary conversations about this.
Good.
Hopefully after the first of the year, we'll get a better direction as to what's going to happen with those boxes.
Well, I think there could be a few dollars there, because on eBay, comparable boxes, depending on the condition, sell from $100 to $300. And there might be somebody that wants a pet fireboxes in front of their building, but I think the town could raise some money by auctioning them or making them available or something.
Yeah, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Some of these boxes are in deplorable condition.
No, these are for
There
good
are
ones.
some that are in good condition. We graded them, if I remember correctly, excellent, fair, good, poor.
Or we throw away the poor ones or something.
Well, yes and no, because some of the internal working parts do have value, but not a lot. I mean, maybe $75 for parts. So,
have the die packs been taken out of them?
it's funny you say that, because we actually just got threw out. We cleaning out. We threw out some black lights for that purpose, and it's like, what are these for? So, yeah,
that's what they were for.
Little bombs.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is just to deinstall what's left of the architecture?
Yeah, this is the infrastructure on the poles. Getting rid of the conduit, getting rid of the wire. The language reads that they'll take the wire from the poles to the building weatherhead. They will, as far as the building itself, that's the homeowner's responsibility to remove that off.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the next item is the payment in lieu of tax agreement with Hearthstone Homes, Inc. Is there anybody here from Hearthstone?
I wasn't aware that anyone was, perhaps, no?
Yeah,
I wasn't aware that anyone was going to attend.
Okay, some years they do. Does anybody, I have a concern in the look of the pilot, is that this year we're going to give them pretty close to a $5,000 rebate. And as I kind of looked back over the different ones, the first year we gave them a good size cut because they didn't budget for it. And then we raised it, and it seems like that we usually made it just around $3,000. This year it's close to $5,000, and I didn't know how the board felt or how they would want to move forward with this. And I guess it's hard for us to tell what kind of financial shape they are in. The year they came and we gave them the big discount, we got some information. So I don't know how other people feel about this.
We table it?
And do some more, get some financial?
Well, what do we need to know if we bring it back to the table? So we want to know what the financial...
I mean, if they're really running in the red a lot, then we may do differently. If they're in the black, we might do something different.
So we would move to table, subject to getting some financial information about the overall well-being of Hearthstone Homes.
Yes, that's what I'm looking for.
That's the motion.
I'll second that. Any further discussion?
Are we on any kind of a time frame? Do we would have to do this in so it'd be valid for this year?
I probably should have asked that. You know, Becky?
I understand that you tried to, in the past, have the agreement signed in November, so we're probably already a little bit behind.
Does it need to be done before the end of the year?
Before the end of the year, is my understanding. I do have some financial information, but that doesn't mean that you have reviewed it. Received June 1st, 2018, list of real estate on which the exemption is claimed.
Some of them in November.
And a 2017 return of organizations exempt from income tax. So I do have some financial data that was reviewed by the assessor.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
This is for the tax year 2019.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if you're going to apply for an abatement, don't you need to do it by March 31st?
So I have a memo here from Todd Haywood.
Okay.
And it's dated July 10th, 2018. Hang on. This provides the annual agreement to make a payment.
I think we can table it till first.
So we still have time. It's 31.
I'm thinking that, but she's reading to make sure that that's the
Becky's
case.
gazing through it.
says-
One of the documents was signed 31 March.
Please be mindful, this new agreement is supposed to be entered into by November 1st annually.
Well, we've already missed
Oh,
that.
we missed that.
Yep.
Call the question.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of waiting for some more information, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, you get us in, maybe we can do it the first meeting in January if we have all the information. Thank you. Next item, I think this is something you wanted to speak to, the L-chip.
Yes, sorry. Just catch up.
Pretty good.
Okay, the list of recipients of the 2018 L-chip grant has been disseminated from the L-chip organization, and there was an award ceremony recently held in the executive chamber at the State House. And in alphabetical order, we find Wolfeboro on the bottom of the last page, and the Wolfeboro Freight Shed Rehabilitation Project has received a L-chip grant of $130,000, and I'd like to congratulate them.
Any selectmen have any comments or questions? I think that's wonderful.
Absolutely.
Hopefully that's going to move that project along. Okay. Next item is we are receiving the MS 46 for the proposed budget and estimated revenue for Carroll County. And this is for our information only. There's no action we have to take on this, I would presume.
No.
The only question we had, and I came up, I think at the Budget Committee, and I don't know whether we want to move forward on it. And again, it's for the sheriff and the dispatching out of the sheriff's department. The question about how much we use it. It may be something we might want to look into again.
I think the chief responded to that. It's in the tax, right? So trying to get it out of the tax.
It's for the sheriff department. It's our contribution to
Yes.
sheriff functions.
And we only use it, if I'm incorrect, the captain will correct me, but this, the county dispatch system is used only in the event of backup if we had a major down. Is that, so I'll let the record reflect that the captain has said, yeah.
I also thought that they were doing a lot of the dispatching out of Concord. I thought they said at the meeting that there was dispatch coming out of Concord and not as much out of the sheriff's department? Okay, that's what I thought I heard at the meeting. I can hear all sorts of stuff, I guess.
I heard a lot of stuff at the meeting.
Yeah, I thought that's what somebody had said. I think John McDonald said that.
Yeah, the 911 system comes out of Concord,
Right.
but that's for all emergencies. Everything comes out of Concord for 911.
Okay.
But if you call local to Carroll, they cover majority of Carroll County.
Okay.
Except for Conway and us, I believe.
Yeah, it's just for the benefits of folks watching. There was a question at the Budget Committee. There's a dispatch system in the county. How do we pay for that in our budgets? And the answer was it's part of our tax. The chief kindly answered that. And then the other question was, well, do we use it at all? And the answer provided by the chief was only in the event of a substantial and catastrophic downtime of our current dispatch system.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions on that? Okay, moving right along, the Community Development Block Grant Gala. We had a public hearing on it, was awarded $12,000 for feasibility study for the maker space. You want to add anything to that?
I would only say that there is a lengthy report available. If anyone is curious about the details, I'd be happy to email that along. I can also say that there are several organizations in Wolfeboro right now who have received CDFA tax credits, and they can be sold until June. So there is WEDCO and Gala that I'm aware of at this point. I'm not sure what the proper process is for us to help them link up with people who might want to sponsor those local investments, those local projects. So I'll just defer to the board to give me any direction if I need to.
We'll call WEDCO.
Yep.
Okay.
WEDCO.
Any other comments on that? All right, the next item on the agenda is the revised Cary Beach warrant article. And the board had a meeting on the 16th. That was on Sunday before the Monday meeting of the Budget Committee. And we voted at that time to no longer make it a capital reserve account. The Budget Committee did not support a capital reserve and do it as straight warrant article. And I can't remember, is it lapsing or not lapsing?
I believe it's non-lapsing.
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 Okay, any other comments on that, board members?
No.
All right, the next item on the agenda is the NEPBA union contract, and I will turn that over to you, Becky.
After much work and considerable edits on behalf of Town Council, we think that we have an agreement that is ready to be signed. It's exciting that we've worked together very hard, and it is a 4-year contract, and it covers amounts that will be listed on the town warrant for wages and increases in benefits. Is there anything anyone would like to add?
Board members, does anybody have any comments? My only comment is that when you get it signed, can we have a clean copy? I have still, and I print so many things, I didn't bother to print this out. So when it gets signed and everything, can we have a printed copy? I want one. I don't know who else. Yeah, why don't you get the whole board?
What would you like? What is the appropriate process? Do you want me to send it to the police commission to have them sign it first?
After it's all signed and it's valid and everything is there, then we have a copy. It's a 4-year contract. We should have a copy of it as selectmen.
So there is a clean copy in the manila folder if the board is inclined to sign tonight, or if you prefer us to send it to the police commission first, I can do that.
I don't have any, board members, I don't have any problem signing it first.
I personally don't, I can't speak for the police commission, but I'm sure that everybody just wants to get this done. So I'm seeing our captain kind of going along with that. So I have no objection signing it tonight.
And we
Tomorrow the police commission meets and they can pray over it.
Okay. We are up against a January 8th deadline.
If there isn't any objection, we'll sign it tonight.
Need a motion?
Sure.
You do it.
Make a motion to approve the NEPBA union contract.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Now we have the AFSCME union contract, and that one is still in the works.
There were some formatting issues and spell checking that needs to take place because it had been scanned in. So that is at Attorney Puffer's office right now, and so I guess I'll bring it to you for the 3rd or the 2nd.
The 2nd of
Still
January.
on a January 8th deadline for that?
January 8th deadline, correct.
Yeah. But we have a January 2nd meeting. So we can then have a clean copy. So we will table this action until January 2nd meeting. Dave?
Yeah, just be aware that this is a one-year contract.
This is correct.
Not 3, like they had asked originally for.
Okay.
We backed it up to 1 year.
Okay. Well, we'll put that on January 2nd. Next item on the agenda is the Heritage Commission funding request, and this is one that went to the Budget Committee. The way the timing was that we did not have a meeting. It went to the Budget Committee, and since we didn't act, they didn't put it in the budget. What I would like to suggest is that they do a petition warrant article, and it will. I'm sure it would pass, but I think that's the way to get it.
I agree.
Okay. Anybody have any problem with that? Okay.
There's a very strict deadline of January 8th at close of business.
Have you talked to Maggie Steer?
I have not spoken with them, but I did send an email indicating how the process worked and the deadline.
Okay.
Actually, in that email, I think you also suggested language for them. So, I mean, you kind of helped them out, gave them the specifics of what they needed to do.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the pilot program for the senior center, and we have the white sheet on it, but at the Budget Committee on Tuesday, Park and Rec withdrew this warrant article, asked us to withdraw it. So we have done that. Any questions or comments about that, board members? Keno warrant article. Town manager?
Keno, not the most user-friendly process for an SB2 town.
No, that's for sure.
And so it basically says you put it on the warrant, and yes, you have to have a public hearing, but once it's on the warrant, you can't take it off the warrant. And I was a little surprised to find how rigid the process really is. But we have chosen a date for a public hearing if you're so inclined.
And am I correct that it has to be in February?
That's correct.
Around the 20th?
Yeah.
All right.
So I have the hearing notice, and it would be held. It says the Wolfeboro Board of Selectmen will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, February 20th at 6:35 at the Great Hall Town Hall to discuss the Keno article. And I guess I'm looking for permission to go ahead and post and publish that.
Board members, you comfortable with that? Yeah. I don't think we have a choice on the date, so yes, go ahead and do that. All right, next item, old business. Does anybody on the board have old business? Anybody have any other business? Town manager's report.
We did receive a request to use the downtown ramp to move a barge. I don't know if you remember seeing an email from me.
I brought that with me.
And I didn't want to forget to see, I don't know if time is of the essence here, but
Time is of the essence. The lake.
I would think so. He'd get frozen in. And he was, let's see, he was working on the town dock, the Millie B dock. So my feeling, if he was using the town dock to do repairs to the dock,
Yeah, I guess his alternative is leave it there and let it freeze in.
I didn't see it there. I drove by today. Has anybody seen it?
I didn't see it, but Mr. Freudenberg, who's the owner of this, saw me this morning at the coffee shop and mentioned that it was going to come in tonight for a please, can you let me get it out of there so it doesn't freeze?
My feeling is he was working on our docks. He needs to take it out our ramp.
I'm okay.
So be it.
So be it.
Yeah.
Anybody have any problem with that? Okay. I'll make a motion that we allow Luke Freudenberg to take his barge out on the town dock. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Anything else, anybody? Town manager's report.
I guess basically that was it. It's been a very busy couple of weeks. I'm looking forward to the respite of the Christmas holiday.
Okay. Next item are committee reports. I'll start down with you, Paul.
Wrapping up the budget committee, that's been it's been a learning experience, and it got kind of hot and heavy in terms of just the amount of meetings over the past few weeks as they wrestled through budgets and warrant articles and outlays and things of that nature. And again, I congratulate Deb for being on the spot when needed. I've been wrapping up things with the Master Plan Energy Committee. I think we're probably heading down towards home plate to get that done and get that thing wrapped up. And then we're going to start taking those findings and using them in the master plan, not the master plan, but the Energy Committee itself, which I am the chairman's, the selectman's rep on. I'm going to miss the Police Commission meeting tomorrow, but I've been to the one previously. Things appear to be okay with the Police Commission these days. And I think they'll be happy that the contract is done, so thank you for that.
Dave?
Other than selectmen's meetings, I did go to the Friends of Abenaki meeting, and that's all I've had.
Brad?
Same thing, selectmen's meetings, a few budget committee meetings, and we did have our town Christmas party last Friday. We all attended, and
Well attended.
and that was about it for me.
I've been at the Chamber quarterly meeting and at the Executive Board meeting and at a Chamber social, and that was for Starting Point. It was very informative. A Cyanobacteria Committee meeting. I went to 2 Budget Committee meetings, and on the 12th, the board toured the community center together. So that's, I went to an EDC meeting, and this morning I had a special events committee meeting. So, Dave?
I went to a library committee meeting, more selectmen's meetings that I can keep track of, but not as many as Linda. And then I've done some historical work with to fulfill a number of requests from citizens.
Becky, before I go on to questions from the press, did you want to go over this at all?
The warrant. We have edits back from town council, which are highlighted in yellow, and it would help finance to be able to put that into the DRA portal tomorrow, if you think we have time. I didn't know how late tonight was going to go.
Let's do it.
Well, let's just get this thing done.
Let's do it.
First one is on Article 4.
May I back up? Mr. Bauer noticed an error, an edit on page 2. It should say, I don't know, midway down the page, it should say town,
Okay,
but it went by spell check as own.
Oh, I see it, yeah.
Okay. All right, we'll make that change.
Got it. Thank you.
Article 4, I don't have any problem with his change.
Problem.
Does anybody?
Nope. Okay.
Just a rewording. 5, it's same kind of language. We're okay with that, unless somebody has any. All right. Number 6.
2-year advice.
Is a 2-year appropriation. It's a 2-year appropriation.
That's what I thought. Yes.
Okay. Number 8. What was the note about the 2018 appropriation and lapsing?
And so unless we're under contract with someone, that appropriation will have lapsed on December 31st. I think he's recommending using the approach of Center Street, which is to use the words to reauthorize. I see the word reauthorize in there. I think he just wanted to emphasize the fact that you're going to have to reauthorize.
So, and is everybody comfortable with the wording reauthorize, that takes care of it?
Sure.
I think that looks good. Affluent disposal, he's striking out affluent disposal, long-term upgrades, pilot testing, wetlands restoration to the rapid infiltration basin system. He just felt that was too long?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody have an issue with that? So if it's a pilot, they can do all those things. We don't have to list them out. Is that what you were agreeing with?
That was his opinion, yes.
Okay, page 18, Article 18, page 7. It's saying include the purpose of the original warrant article.
And I can do that. I just hadn't had a moment to research
Okay,
it.
so you're okay? I brought my book. That would
Do you know what year?
No, that wouldn't be. Nope, I don't. I'm sorry. I was thinking it was a different one.
I can take care of that.
Okay. And you're going to have to put our vote in, which was 5-0.
Yep. Oh, no, wait. Was it 4-0 or 5?
No, this is not. The number of, were 5-0. The other day, why they were all 4-0 is we had one member missing. So it's the police contract.
Okay.
The other one we haven't voted on yet. And on the special detail, we decided we wanted it, the police commission, the board of selectmen, and the budget committee, we wanted all of the votes on that.
So hopefully they can take care of that tomorrow, but I will meet with police tomorrow and make sure that we have a tick list of what to get done.
Okay, anything else? Anybody has? All right, does that take care of it for you?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Any questions from the press? No? Okay, public input.
By the way, I have only one page and just a paragraph I want to finish. My name is Josephine Amatucci, and when I come to the podium here, I'm really talking to the people, but under my right to redress my grievances. I have a story to tell the public of what happens in this town when you accuse the police of misconduct. A story I want everyone to listen. I am here tonight to advise the public that Police Chief Dean Rondeau is a criminal, and I want him terminated, as he is a threat to the safety of the public. The town officials should never have let Dean Rondeau become our police chief, because they knew he was a criminal, and we don't want a criminal to be our police chief. We may love Rondeau for his military service, but we cannot love his crimes. Rondeau is a wolf in sheep's clothing. He must not be trusted by the public. When you hear my story, you will realize that he must go because this man is nothing but a ticking time bomb. The people must listen to my story that I will detail a little at the time at the Selectmen meetings of the event that occurred on May 7th, 2014, so that the public can be alert on what's going on in this town. Because everyone must work to preserve our civil rights. Or if the people sit back and do nothing, you'll turn our criminal justice system into a tyranny, which is a growing American nightmare. I will tell my story continuously at the meetings of what occurred on May 7, 2014, because it's a long story. I will tell about my experience with the judges and about the corruption of the entire political justice system, where the judges have no regards for the truth, justice, or even human dignity, and they are only concerned in maintaining themselves. I will start with the May 7, 2014 event, and then go back to event that occurred in 2002 and 2003, where it all started, with police misconduct in this town, and where I was able in 2006 to have the former police chief Brian Black and Officer Charles Hamilton terminated. I did it. It was I who had the former police chief Stuart Chase and Officer James O'Brien and the town planner Rob Hausman terminated. I did it. There are 2 people left that I will have terminated: Police Chief Dean Rondeau and the town prosecutor Timothy Morgan, who in a continuing conduct are threatening our civil rights. And I will go on until they stop this criminal conduct in this town. I will return to the Selectmen meetings until my entire story is told. The public must be aware of the crimes that go on in this town by the police. The people might take the position that you will never it will never happen to you. That is true only if you just stand by and allow them to abuse you. But if you don't get involved when a resident of this town is abused by the police, then you are setting the system up for tyranny.
Do I have anybody else in the public who'd like to give some public input? Hearing none, I'd like to have a motion to go into non-public session.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Non-public.
Hey, you missed a good meal today.
I